Let's speak to a current chairman about this. Good morning to former FA Chief Executive, now Tranmere Rovers Chairman, Mark Palios. How are you?
Very good morning, Mark.
Yeah, I'm not too bad.
Okay.
The news isn't great, but other than that, I'm good. You okay?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
We're all right. We've been trying to pick the bones out of this all morning and figure out what might happen. What was your reaction when you heard?
Well, I suppose it's been trailed to some extent over the course of the last few months and in the last year, in fact. So, it's not surprising. And I think the move towards sort of a global game of football has always been there. So, to some extent, not that surprised. A little bit surprised the extent to which it's dropped in the way that it has. And my first response to it was, well, maybe this is just a negotiating point, because it's no surprise that today the UEFA were about to talk about the Champions League restructuring, etc. And if you look back over history, and we can come back to the rights and wrongs of it, but if you look back over history, what's always happened in the game is you've seen things, well, basically, people have sold out the long term for the short term. And it's been bankrolled and so forth. And this is, again, part of what these 12 clubs are doing. They're saying, well, we'll produce more money because of this, and therefore that will all go back to the good of the game right across Europe, not just in the pyramid in this country. Well, I think if I may, I'll just put my business hat on and I say, if you work in business, and because this is a battle, let's be straight about it. This is a battle between the free market, business, and the sport. I don't want to be melodramatic. It's a battle for the heart of the sport, basically. And it's been coming a long time. It's been happening a long time. You've seen a lot of competition getting destroyed. Now, if you look at a business, what do? You try and kill off your competition. If you're looking at a sport, what do? You try and reinvent competition. So there's a fundamental problem at the heart of professional sport. You do need proper regulation and so forth and so on. And I think that these guys, if they ever had the plot, I think they've lost the plot. They certainly don't understand that they're standing on the shoulders of giants and what's gone before and what this means, what these clubs means to their communities. They're looking at a global audience of customers. The game isn't predicated on that. The game is predicated on a lot more local allegiances of fans, and fans are not customers. There's a big difference between the two.
Mark, I was going to say to you, if there's been an example, or more so, of owners of a football club not knowing their supporters, or the feelings that fans have for the club, I think this is it. Am I living in kind of dream world here? Maybe I am in the business sense of this whole thing. I find it really, really crass. But am I living in a dream world when I think surely that the reaction from the supporters must be looked at by the owners of these clubs? I do understand finance, I do understand business, but you think it's gone too far, surely.
Yeah, and businessmen at the top of business make wrong business decisions. This is a wrong business decision to my mind, because at the end of the day, they don't understand it, is my view. They don't understand their customers, which is one of the fatal things in business. You're entirely right. I just think that, we're sitting here, and that's why I think that they must have understood this. And one of the key things is when you're trying to move your business from one part to another part of the market, is you consult. You actually talk to the customers. You find out what the customers want. There has been no consultation with their fans for this, I can assure you. And this will show you what they don't understand. If you look at Liverpool fans, and if you take this to its logical conclusion, Liverpool can be excluded from the Premier League. Let's face it.
Yep.
You remember Kerry Packer and the cricket and all that?
Absolutely.
Those players can be excluded. All of that. You can see all of that. And I think it will happen that if they do not roll back from this, then those clubs will be excluded. So just look at it from a fan's perspective. The bragging rights that a fan has on a Monday morning when he goes into work, with a Liverpool fan and an Everton fan.
Yep.
Well, Everton aren't playing Liverpool anymore, if you follow this through to its logical and obvious conclusion. And that, whilst they say, yes, we'll play in the Premier League, they ain't going to be allowed to play in the Premier League with the current construction of what they call the Super League. So, that's why I think this has to be some kind of ploy to say, look, this is what it could be. And therefore, when you do reorganise the Championship, we'll come in, but we'll tone it down.
And Mark, how do you feel? I mean, being the Tranmere owner and taking them through such a difficult period, with the coronavirus, asking for help from the Premier League, asking for help from this sort of the big six clubs and the Premier League to help you get through this sort of really difficult time. How does it feel to know that really they've gone behind your back, the football period, gone behind your back and created something that you'd never be involved in?
Absolutely. There's a word that's been used a couple of times, and I'm embarrassed, frankly.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed because, 6 of the 12 are English clubs. And that embarrasses me because this is where the game really started in terms of professional football. This is what, we're called the FA. We're the only FA that's allowed to be called the FA because we started it and we're actually destroying it. Mm. You then come back to it, and I'm not being racist, but this sounds a very American market idea, even to the players in the game, JP Morgan, etc., and all kinds of stuff. I operated in those circles when I was in the city, but this is not sport, and I think that's what gets everybody's goat. Fans just haven't been consulted in this at all, and you've seen the sort of the backlash, and it's right because I've said this many times, the fans are the club. It's a concept. And actually, you have a corporate entity, which is Tranmere Rovers Limited, for example, but it's the fans that are the club. Mm-hmm. And the fans, owners will come, owners will go, players will come, players will go, managers will come, managers will go, but the fans stay. And they make the mistake of thinking that this is a customer that comes through the door age 5 and stays as a customer to age 75, because there is no other business in the world that has that. And there's a reason for that, because these are fans, not customers.
Yeah. I wonder, I was going to say, Mark and Woodgie and Jamie, I'd be looking forward to hear a reaction from some of the current top players. I just wonder how they would feel about it. Even thinking to the extent, it could potentially be the end of their international careers as well.
Well, for me, Ali, the question I would ask to that is, if you're, say, Højbjerg, and you're playing for Spurs and Spurs, who are nowhere near European competition really in terms of getting to Champions League finals, if you're going to ask him, next season you could be playing against Real Madrid, Barcelona, AC Milan, Inter every week, or you can play against Norwich or Burnley, I think they're going to find it hard for them to say no to it.
Would they say no to it, though, if it meant that it's the only league they could play in? And that they couldn't potentially represent their countries, they couldn't play in cup competitions in any other league.
I think representing countries is a different argument. I mean, you can't, personally, I don't think you can ever stop someone representing their country. If you're going to say, no, we're not going to play in the Premier League anymore, I think some players will go, all right, well, I'm playing against Barcelona and Real Madrid and I'm going to be earning a lot of money.
Can I ask Mark, in terms of how the fans will react to this, it's been one hell of a 12 months for them in terms of, I mean, even longer. The last couple of seasons, VAR came in and it has been really badly received, badly used in a lot of cases. So that kind of method's not cast the game in a great light. Lots of PR disasters during COVID, furlough schemes being cancelled, then being reversed because of the reaction of the fans. And now this, and we've questioned whether or not fans are starting to fall out of love with football. This genuinely could be the nail in the coffin for some of them. I've seen the reaction this morning as well.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I think you something else I've said, I think you sort of disrespect fans at your peril. There are, look, I was at the FA, but I'm no fan of the authorities that run football. I think COVID generally, and this isn't me getting on my soapbox, but COVID generally showed the lack of leadership in the football authorities in this country. I think there's a major opportunity to redress some of the things you're talking about in terms of the way the game is run going forwards. But you can't see one particular body doing that, which is why I've regrettably come to the conclusion you need a regulator. And this connection with fans, as I say, if you disrespect this, you will find that the game goes, because that's what it is. We all know what it is. And that's one of the concerns I have, that the people who are sitting on the top of these clubs, actually, I don't think they ever got it. I just don't think they understand what is the essence of football. and what fans actually mean. So I think just one other thing, if I may say, just on your point, is the first response is to put more money back into the game. We'll earn more money, so we'll put more money back into the game. Actually, when you look at it, that isn't the issue. The issue is, I was always taught, you control the controllables. When you're playing, whatever you control the controllables. So in business, it's exactly the same. What you can control are the wages bills. If you could put more money in, you don't actually fix a lot of the ills in the game. You just exacerbate them. Mm-hmm. And actually, that's where you should be looking to fix the game as such. This is an unwelcome land grab by people who just don't get it fundamentally.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.